morning, or depending when you're watching this, good afternoon, good evening, or good night. My name's Ross, and as always told, I had a voice for radio. So today, I am looking at one of the more interesting cards from the recently revealed tag bolt. It's a card that certainly caught my eye. It's Moltres. I know, right? Now, we did, of course, have Moltres coming out in Lost Thunder, and this was a Moltres that I thought was going to be quite good, and it's a nice little setup Pokemon. It's the spiritual successor to the Volcanion we were all playing in our fire decks. You do 20 damage, you get to attach an extra energy from your hand. The thing is, we don't have many fire decks at the moment, and the one we do is Blacephalon, which doesn't really need this, because it's rolling with Naganadel. That's a little bit sad. But this new Moltres, ladies and gentlemen, this does things a little bit differently. So it's got 120 HP, which is a little bit upsetting, because it means that you're going to be KO'd by something like Zoroark. Sorry about that. It's got a retreat cost of 2, which is higher than we might like. It's got a weakness to lightning, which with cards like Electro Power and Thunder Mountain running around is not ideal, because quite frankly, well, lightning decks have tricks now, and that's a little bit sad. I do like the resistance to fighting because of all the Buzzwole running around, but as always, it's the attacks we're really worried about. And the first one here is a doozy. For 1 fire energy, discard all energy attached to this Pokemon. For each card discarded this way, discard the top card of your opponent's deck. I know, right? If you can get enough energy on here, you can just mill your opponent's deck. And this is some of the best mill that we've seen in ages. Now, you could just attach 1 fire energy, discard it, mill 1 card. Yay! That is absolutely an option. But you can do so much more here. You can do so much better using this card. One of the obvious ways to do so in Standard, at least, is using Kiawe. Kiawe lets you attach 4 energy, and then it ends your turn. Next turn, you come back, discard the top 4 cards of your opponent's deck. I mean, we mentioned Durant in a video recently, and Durant was quite annoying, but if you've got 4 Durant on the field, you get to discard the top 4 cards of your opponent's deck for 1 energy. Kiawe meets that, but the problem with Kiawe is really simple. It ends your turn. So you're not really milling 4 cards a turn. You're milling 2 cards a turn, but you're doing them all in 1 turn. You're averaging 2 mil per turn. That is... It's not ideal, ladies and gentlemen. It's not going to win us a game as fast as we might like. So the question is, do we have any other options? Well, don't be sleeping on Magcargo. Magcargo is rather nice. You've got the combination of both Magcargo. The GX attaches the top card of your deck to a Pokemon, as long as it's a basic energy. And then you can make sure it's a basic energy by using the other Magcargo. Okay, now that's looking just a little bit better. But we're still realistically, best case scenario, 2 Magcargo out, 2 Magcargo GX, plus your attachment for the turn. You are discarding 3 energy per turn. Now that's still pretty good. You're discarding 3 energy per turn, which means you're milling 3 cards per turn. It's fine, it's nice, but I still don't feel like we're milling quite as much as we might like. The problem is, that's about where we are in Standard. We can accelerate energy in Standard, and we can accelerate it to fire Pokemon. We've got Kiawe, and we've got Magcargo, but it's not quite as much as we might like. Now, if we get some better energy acceleration in the future, this could be really, really good. Now, I know we're getting Flareon GX, and I love Flareon GX. The first attack for a single energy, bearing in mind we got the Energy Evolution Eevee, so this is kind of a go second, use it turn 1 kind of attack. You get to do 30 damage and attach 3 energy from your hand. But then again, you're probably going to use that to set up other Flareon. You could use it for Moltres, and certainly this could be a nice tech in fire decks. Stick 1 Moltres in, and then, you know, if your opponent goes down to 3 or 4 cards in hand, use this to mill. It is absolutely a possibility. I just feel like it's not quite enough. But if you head into the expanded format, this gets so much better. First of all, we've got Blacksmith. Blacksmith accelerates 2 energy from your discard to your Pokemon with your supporter for the turn. That's lovely. That means every turn you play a Blacksmith, that's 2 energy, plus your attachment for the turn is free. But then, of course, it's a basic Pokemon, so you've got Max Elixir. And now you're doing 3 or 4 per turn. And I know 4 is the same as Durant, but Durant's got 70 HP and no good attack. Moltres has 120 HP and absolutely does have a good attack. But then we've got Emboar. Emboar is still legal and expanded because we're playing Black and White on. And it's basically Blastoise. Now, Blastoise has Archie's Ace in the hole. And this doesn't, which is a little bit annoying. But other than that, you just get to attach as many fire energies you like during your turn. And this could be a really good mill deck and expanded. You just pile energy on, discard it with Moltres to mill. Oh yeah, and then you can just use stuff like Energy Recycler and you're off and rolling. This could be a really good mill deck. And if you're milling, I have got to mention Victini Prism Star here. Because Victini Prism Star for 2 fire energy or 1 Blacksmith, this does 20 damage for each basic energy in your discard, and then you shuffle them all back into your deck. See where we're going here? Not only do you get a ridiculously huge KO when you use Victini, but you then put all of this energy back into your deck, which means that you can then do it all over again. I know, right? This seems like a lot of fun to me. Is it going to be consistent enough? I'm not 100% sure. In expanded between Blacksmith and Emboar, I think this could work. Also Max Elixir. In standard, I worry that between stuff like Kiawe and Makago, it's not going to be consistent enough to be a mill deck in and of itself. But remember, it doesn't have to be a mill deck in and of itself. You can just play 1 or 2 of these in a fire deck to discard 3 or 4 cards at one point during the game to deck your opponent out and win. It's worth bearing in mind. But weirdly, we've actually got a really good attack here as well. I should mention my translations here come from the lovely Cerebi.net, though I have checked with David Hochmann to make sure we know what we're doing. I tend to check with David as a bit of a rule, to be honest with you. And it's a really good attack. 4 fire energy, 180, discard 3 fire energy from this Pokemon. 4 energy, 3 fire, 1 colorless, discard 3 fire, and then you do 180. This is really good. This is basically Ho-Oh GX. Now, Ho-Oh GX doesn't discard, you can't use it next turn, but it's still a flat 180, and a flat 180 is good. Already you're getting a KO on things like Blacephalon or Rayquaza, which is nice. And then once you add a choice band, you're getting 210. So you're getting things like Lycanroc and Zoroark and all of that malarkey. You're doing a huge amount of damage, and it's really quite nice. It's a very powerful attack. 2 problems. First of all, you got 120 HP. But secondly, it's 4 energy and you discard it. So if you use a Kiawe, maybe your opponent Guzmas and KOs, which is an issue. You can get this set up with Reshiram GX, but then again, maybe your opponent Guzmas and KOs. But if you're playing a fire deck, this is quite nice. Now, to be fair, Flareon does 190 and only discards 2, but then again, Flareon also gives up 2 prizes. You might want a nice non-GX attacker, and this is a nice non-GX attacker. I think the more interesting thing about it is the fact that you've got the milling option here, but please don't be sleeping on the fact that this does 180 damage. For 4 energy on a non-GX. Yes, it's expensive, but in expanded, Blacksmith and Max Elixir, potentially Emboar, but that's not seeing a huge amount of play. I think for Emboar, it's got to be a dedicated deck. But then in standard, you've still got things like Flareon, like Kiawe, like Reshiram. You've got ways to accelerate energy to fire Pokemon. And it's nice, ladies and gentlemen. And of course, when you're discarding the energy, in comes Victini Prism Star. Not to mention that we have got Victini from Lost Thunder, which does 20 damage for each basic Pokemon you've got out. No good for Flareon, but absolutely good for Moltres. I really like this Moltres. I think this is a really, really good Moltres. I love the milling attack. I think it's one of the best milling attacks we've had in a long time. Yes, you've got to pile energy on, and yes, that's not as easy to do in standard, but you can mill a lot of cards here, and that's got to be worth some consideration. The second attack is just a huge smashing attack, and I know we've got Ho-Oh. And I know we've got Flareon, and it's not the only fire Pokemon that can just smash. But it is still a very good fire Pokemon that can just smash. So I thought it's worth some consideration. I'm going to be giving this 4 Wassies because although neither of what it does is perfect, it does 2 things very well, and I think that's deserving of 4 Wassies. But if you disagree with me, well, great news. There is a comment section, and I would rather suggest that you go and throw your thoughts down there. Go nuts, but please do remember the most important rule. Be nice. And then make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, follow me on Twitter at The Wassy, and Twitch for some live action at twitch.tv/PTCGRadio. If you want to support the channel, get some bonus podcasts and all that malarkey, head on over to patreon.com/PTCGRadio, where you can do exactly that. And do make sure you're checking out youtube.com/WassyPlays for some more Wassy action. But by far the most important thing, as always, is to look after yourselves until next time. Thank you very much for watching. My name's Ross, and you've been watching PTCG Radio.